All right, all right, all right. This is Judah, and we are bringing you a special edition of Truth Be Told Flex podcast. And I have the privilege of sitting in the booth with my lovely wife, Banath, Shal, Ahayah. How you doing, lady? All right, all right. We are here, and this is Sunday, May 9th, the year of 2021. And I thought it would be great to bring my wife in with me because she sit up day after day, week after week, month after month. And for the last few years, she have heard me going off about certain things. And we have topics that, just the two of us talking, they'd be great. And so I asked her to come on with a special edition, and she agreed. Talk to the people for a minute, baby.
Well, I appreciate you bringing me on the show today. As you say, we've had conversations and discussed various topics, and have had some of the greatest conversations, I think, between two people. We have a really great chemistry, not just between husband and wife, but as individuals, we definitely have varying opinions. Don't always agree with you. At the end of the day, though, I think our conversations and the topics we discussed are wonderful discussions. So I appreciate you bringing me on to let me give some of my viewpoint to the people today.
Already. And it's great to have you here as well. As I was going through my studies, though, I came across some information that I thought that needed to be shared. Studying for, upcoming shows that we're going to have. And I brought it up to you. When I came across it, I called you, and I don't know if you remember or not how amped I was about it. I was like, man, this is incredible, right? So I'm going to share this video clip, and then we're going to get right into what it is that we're talking about.
Hey, Joe, we got quarterly results and some vaccine news from Moderna this morning. We'll start with their earnings. This is the first time in the country's history they've reported a profit on a GAAP basis. They said it came in at $2.84 per share. Analysts were looking for $2.39. Revenue was just short of analysts' estimates at $1.94 billion in the first quarter. Analysts were looking for $2.04 billion. Their COVID vaccine in the first quarter brought in $1.7 billion in revenue. They are now saying they expect $19.2 billion in 2021 based on contracts they've signed. Now, for some of the higher than they are this year because of agreements they've made with COVAX, the facility to provide vaccines for low and middle income countries, as well as Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. Guys, Moderna does.
All right. So, what a lot of people don't know that Moderna, right? We're talking Moderna right now. Got some Pfizer numbers as well, but we're talking Moderna right now. This is a company that was founded in 2010. So this is a 10-year-old company, maybe 11, depending on when it was founded. But this is a company that was founded in 2010. And it reported its first profit in the first quarter in the history of the company. That within itself was amazing to me, right? And the way that it did it was through the cocktail. And I was like, out of 10 years, you telling me that this is the first time ever that you reported your first profitable first quarter, right? Did I say that right? You know what I'm saying?
It is the first quarter, and not to cut you off, but let me just add this piece. So not only did they generate a profit, which was $1.94 billion during their first quarter, $1.73 billion of that came from the cocktail.
Say that again.
$1.73 billion of it came from the cocktail. So it wasn't all, the 1.94 wasn't all the cocktail. 1.73 billion of it was the cocktail, which makes you ask the question, where did that other 0.21 come from if they've never reported a profit?
Right.
Never reported a profit before.
Right. Well, it's not that they never reported a profit. They never reported a first quarter profit.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. But where's that other 0.21% come from? I have not been able to find that information yet. I'm still digging, but it just makes me curious where that other 0.21% came from if only 1.73 billion of it was from the cocktail. So you
So,
pick up from there.
and we're talking about a cocktail that is being given away for free, right? People go into businesses to make money. So, according to these numbers that we have right here, Moderna is doing a hell of a job right now, right? They're doing a hell of a job right now. The only way that I was able to wrap my head around this was to go back to things that I know about. Okay? This is how this made sense to me. If there was any one thing that made me understand that we as a people, and we're talking America right now, the American people, that we are guinea pigs, this was it right now. Because I was not understanding how they made so much money. You said 1.7 off the cocktails?
Correct.
By itself, right? So we just gonna deal with that 1.7 off the cocktails by itself, right? The one thing that was not making sense to me is how they made so much money off of these cocktails, seeing that they are giving it away. Not only are they giving a cocktail away, Banath, they're also giving incentives to encourage people to take the cocktail.
So here's what's funny. This is a direct quote from, oh God, Stefan Bancel,
Okay.
chief exec of Moderna.
Okay.
12 months ago in Q1 2020. 12 months ago in Q1 2020. Listen to what this is. When did when did our issue or our problem start? For us to even need the cocktail.
The hangover came up in March of last year.
Okay. So 12 months ago, and this
12 months of
this came out May 6th. This is a May 6th, 2021 quote.
3 days ago.
Moderna had never run a phase 3 clinical study, never got a product authorized by a regulator, and never made 100 million doses in a single quarter.
100 million doses.
They have never done that before. Never. So how is that possible? Now, I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I need people to understand, and in my research, this is one of the things that I found out. There are other things that are going on in our country, other issues, diseases, what have you, that are not being looked at the same way they were 2 years ago. Cancer is one of them. Cancer research has been put on the back burner. Go look it up. You can go research, go Google, and find that cancer research has been put on the back burner for this.
For what? For what is this? For the cocktail.
For the cocktail, but for the profit that comes along with this cocktail, because there is no profit in curing some of the other things.
Right.
So I just thought it was interesting that a company who started in 2010 never made or reported a profit in the first quarter, especially one like this, that in 12 months ago, they had never run a phase 3 clinical study, never got a product authorized by a regulator, and never made 100 million doses in a single quarter. So these are not my words. These are the words of their executive.
So that means that the customer that came to them and made this order had to be able to first be able to fund it, right?
Absolutely.
And they had to have a reason for wanting so much of the product.
Right.
Right?
Somebody somewhere had to have known that this was going to generate this kind of profit from the very beginning.
From the very beginning.
Because there are other companies that produce cocktails. Definitely other companies that produce cocktails. But somebody at this company had to have known there was money to be made.
Right, exactly. So this is how this made sense to me. I was like, okay, how are they making the money? It wasn't making sense to me at first when I read the article, right? Okay. Moderna, a company that's founded in 2010, reported its first quarterly profits in history, 1.94 billion. We know that 1.7 billion of that is from the cocktail, right? So we got a remaining of what? What was the number of the remaining?
0.21.
0.21, right? So we're going to look at some Pfizer numbers as well. The first quarter, 3.5 billion. of the same cocktail, right? These two companies, what they are, this is how this made sense to me, okay? And this is how the reason of this special edition is because I want the audience to understand how we as a people are guinea pigs. First of all, this cocktail is not FDA approved. So it is a clinical trial going on right now with everybody who is lined up to take the cocktail. Can you agree with that?
Yes.
This is a clinical trial. The FDA was like, look, you can go look this up. The FDA said we will not approve a cocktail that we are not safe. We give it to our own families, which means that the 174 board members of the FDA, none of them themselves have took the cocktail. Why would I take something that I won't approve or give to my family? So when you see people like Biden and Fauci and what's the chick name that's the VP of this country? What's the vice president name?
Of Moderna?
No, of America.
Oh, sorry. Kamala Harris.
When you see people like them get on TV and say that they taking the vaccine, they're not taking it. Taking a cocktail, they're not taking it, okay? Why would they take it if the FDA members who's supposed to approve it don't take it, right?
Right.
So how did they get it approved that they could give it to people? Something that is called an emergency authorized use. So that the FDA can sit back and see what it's doing to the millions of people that are taking it. This is how it's a clinical trial. The customer that went to Moderna and Pfizer is the United States government.
Correct.
That's how they made $1.7 billion, right? And then they take what Moderna made and then they give it to the people for free. So why did they buy it? Is the question that I'm asking. Why did they spend so much money to give it away for free? Look, if I was in the business of flipping houses, I'm gonna buy a house, right? Not only am I not going to give it to the next customer for free, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna upcharge it.
Exactly.
So the government went to Moderna and Pfizer. They done spent $1.7 billion, $3.5 billion to turn around and give a product away to everybody for free. And not only just giving it away to them, they giving incentives. Hey, if you take it, we gonna give you free tickets to the Braves game. If you take it, people in jail, if you take it, we'll knock time off of your sentence. You see what I'm saying? That makes no sense to me.
So if you're an individual that's in prison for life, how do they knock time off of a life sentence? I'm just curious.
I know, right?
Yeah,
right.
What number do you start with?
The way that this worked, and I'm gonna explain this, and I'm gonna turn it over to Banath, Shal, Ahayah, because I want people need to understand why this is intriguing. You need to understand how this works. Pharmaceutical companies are suppliers. This was the only way that I can make this make sense to me. I had to bring it back to things that I was familiar with. Pharmaceutical companies are suppliers. And the doctors are the distributors. Okay?
Correct.
So pharmaceutical companies, they hire scientists, not doctors, to create a product for them. Then the pharmaceutical companies go to doctors and they convince the doctors that the product that they scientists have made, this is what it can cure, or this is what it can help, or this is what it is good for. And the doctors agree to that, and then the doctors give the pharmaceutical companies money for the product, and then the doctors sell that product to us, being the patients. And the trap houses of the doctors are your Walgreens and your CVS's and your Walmarts. These are trap houses. You go to the doctor say, hey, this is what you got. I'm going to write you a prescription. You go to whatever trap house you want to go, right? And because the doctors believed in what the pharmaceutical company said that they scientists have made, right? This is why the medication is going to cost this much, because the doctor paid this much for it, but he got to make a profit off of it. And then he got to also give a cut to the trap house, Walgreens, CVS, right? So that means that the price of it goes up a little bit more, right? Because they got to get their cut for housing it. You see what I'm saying? So now we got this brand new cocktail that's out here that the government, not the doctors, said, hey, we want this, sir. Okay? Right. We want this. And this is what we're going to pay for. And we want you to make this many doses of it. And then we're going to give it away for free. That made absolutely no sense to me, man.
I agree. As we say, make it make sense. It's hard to make something like that make sense.
So if anything ever made me understand that we are walking guinea pigs, that they are either trying to kill us off, or, in the words of my wife, Banath, Shal, Ahayah, not just kill us off, but make us sick, because there's no profit in killing us off, right? Or make us sick. This is it right here. When have the government ever been so concerned about us that they are willing to go pay $194 billion to give you something that's going to make you well? Talk to me. What you got over there, lady?
There's all kinds of information I have over here. It just depends on where we want to take this conversation. But I think the thing that sticks out to me when you and I were having the conversation the other day is, to piggyback off of what you said, I have never known a time in our history where the government has supplied a cocktail free of charge, especially for something that is what they say is so what's the word I'm looking for something that is so infectious and is easily caught. They don't know how you get it necessarily, other than through the typical methods, what have you. What they do know, though, is enough people have gotten it, enough people have been infected by it, to where they feel like, as a country as a whole, we need to make sure our people are healthy. Well, people in this country have been dying and sick from all kinds of things for years.
Hence the reason why we can call it a plandemic, right?
Correct.
Because if you ask me, right, and cut me off at any time here while I'm going in this, if you ask me, the whole purpose of the plandemic was to get the cocktail to us.
Correct.
That was the whole purpose of the plandemic. I gotta make you scared enough. I gotta make you scared enough of the hangover, and I gotta lock you up. And this is some of the employed too, to get this cocktail in us that they giving away for free. That we got to get back to normalcy. Aren't you tired of just sitting in the house, right? You tired of sitting in the house. You want to go back to your concerts. We're almost at the end of this, right? Herd immunity is what they're saying. Mm-hmm. And we can't reach herd immunity until enough people take the cocktail, right?
Right.
So the whole purpose of all of this was to get the cocktail in the arms of the people.
So you and I have had this conversation again, as with many of the things that we talk about. I have a theory. I've not been able to find this anywhere, but it only makes sense to me because you have three major companies: Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson / AstraZeneca, that are producing this cocktail, correct?
We got some information on that too, right? How those companies came about, or merged, or one of them.
It's Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca. I'll get into that probably a little later if we have time. It's not a whole lot of information, but at this point, what I'm saying is, you have three companies that are producing a cocktail for the American people and the country as a whole. I mean, the world as a whole, let's be honest, to take. It's like having three different recipes, right? But if you're allergic to, let's say we're doing peach cobbler. If you're allergic to nutmeg, and I'm allergic to cinnamon, and somebody else is allergic to real butter, how do either one of us know which one of those cocktails we need to get?
Okay.
Because they use different cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they use different versions of the cocktail, correct?
Right.
You may get Johnson & Johnson. I may get Moderna. Somebody else may get Pfizer. And with having those three different, very different cocktails being produced in the mass numbers that they're being produced, what it sounds like to me is nobody really cares what the ingredients are. Just get it out there.
Right.
Mass production.
Right.
There is something, and let me see if I can find it real quick, but there's a government term that was used. They initiated this term to get these companies to mass produce the vaccine. It fails me right now, but when I find it, I'll bring it back out. But they went to these companies and said, "Hey, we have a project essentially for you guys, because you know me personally, I don't believe that they just started producing this
Of course
cocktail
not. Of course not.
last year.
Of course not.
There's no way you're going to convince me that you can create a cocktail that fast, especially if you don't know all the reasons people get it. I mean, think about the flu. When you get the flu, how many different variations of the flu are there?
There's a lot.
And they will tell you every single year that as soon as one comes out, they start working on a plan to create
another cocktail
to give you for the different variations.
And while you looking for that, I'm explain how I know that there are different variations of the flu is because the way our bodies are created, and this is going to be a conversation that I'm going to get into with a guest that's going to come on the show. We're going to talk, and she's going to be able to explain it a whole lot better than what I am about right now. But the way our bodies are created, our immune systems are created, we have these things that are called T cells. And T cells are like, they're like our protector. They sit back. They're like an alarm. They sit back and they wait for anything to enter into our bodies that are not supposed to be there. And so when those T cells see something strange come into the body, they attack it. When they attack it, then your body makes you sick. It's not necessarily the foreign agent that's in your body. Your body start making you sick because what your body is doing, it is trying to get rid of that foreign agent that is in your body. So this is why you start having headaches. This is why you'll have a fever. This is why some may have diarrhea. This is why you may throw up or etc. Right? These are good things because these things are actually showing that your immune system is working. You want to have a fever. You want to have a headache.
And everybody's body reacts differently.
Now, when the T cells attack it, your body start creating this thing that is called antibodies. And once your body create an antibody against that foreign agent that the T cells attack, you would never, ever, ever be able to get sick from that again because you have created an antibody from it. Correct. So for people who get sick with the flu year after year after year, you're not getting sick with the same variant of the flu year after year after year because that flu that you got sick from last year can't make you sick anymore.
Personal story. From the time I was in kindergarten to my freshman year in high school, and you can definitely attest to this, to my freshman year in high school, I got the flu every single year, like clockwork. I would come home, mom look at my face, here it is, she has the flu. I can't tell you how many times I would get sick. I either throw up on the bus, I start off with some kind of fever. I wasn't quite understanding what it was. I just knew I didn't feel good. My mom knew because you didn't go to the doctor really back then for the flu, but every single year I would get the flu. In the last 25 years, I've not had the flu. Everybody in our house has had the flu.
Including me.
Including you, where I didn't get it. My body has built up an immunity to the flu. Even with the variations of the flu that come out there, I might, for one day, not feel 110%.
Right.
I might be a little bit sluggish. You know I've had a fever, and it'll last a whole 24 hours, if that long. And then I'm fine.
Right.
And it's usually during flu season. It's because my body has built up such an immunity to the flu I'm hard pressed to get it.
Right.
The one time that I thought I might have had the flu because everybody else in the house was sick, I couldn't be sick.
Right.
I had a fever for about 16 hours. It was gone, and I spent the rest of that time taking care of the household.
Exactly.
But so one of the things that I was trying to present earlier is I don't have any theories or any science or evidence to prove this, but because there's so many variations, and I say so many, the three major ones that we know that are producing the cocktail, because there's so many variations of those, they don't necessarily report what all of the ingredients are. I know there were a couple of videos on YouTube where they tried to share what the ingredients were, and those videos got pulled down most immediately. Hence the reason I believe much of what you said, those people who are telling you that they're getting the cocktail are not getting it. They're getting a dummy version, right? I used to be a waitress, and I would have customers come in that would offer to buy drinks. And as a waitress, you're allowed to have a drink with your customer. As a waitress in that industry, we knew in order for me to remain on the playing field that I needed to remain on, if this particular person is having rum and Coke, offers to buy me rum and Coke, I say, okay. And I go to the bartender and I do what? I just get Coke.
Kind.
He doesn't know that I'm not drinking rum and Coke.
But he paid for.
He paid for rum and Coke.
Come on now.
He gave the presentation. Hey, and I came back with his drink and a drink for me that looks exactly like his drink, but he has no idea that all I'm drinking is Coke. That is it. So the word I was looking for that the government has come up with is Operation Warp Speed. The goal of Operation Warp Speed was to begin delivering safe and effective cocktails to the American people by the end of the year. This goal has been achieved with the initial distribution of the Pfizer cocktail beginning immediately after FDA granted the what? EUA, Emergency Use Authorization. And the reason they had to do that is why?
Because the FDA would not approve it.
It hasn't been around long enough to approve. They haven't done enough research on it.
Well, check this out. You said something earlier that you don't believe that they just started making this cocktail, which is true. Facts. And for those who's listening to the podcast right now, you go research it for yourself. They have been trying to get this technology, and that's what this cocktail is. It's a technology more than it is a drug. They have been trying to get this technology approved by the FDA for a number of years, but the FDA would not do it. So they had to come up with the pandemic to get people scared. And what they did to get what you just read, the emergency use authorization, because they got tired of waiting on the FDA to approve it. Now they can get the technology in people. This is a technology that has never been used in people ever. First of all. So all of these people, and I put a post up the other day, and I'm not afraid to repeat it because I wasn't afraid to put it up, and I meant it. Friends or family. And if you are either, you probably have my number. Call me and we can discuss it. If you get this junk in your arm, you are a dummy. This is something that has never been approved. They've been trying to get it approved for years. Hence the reason how we know that it's not new. It's not just a year old. It's older than a year old. It's a technology that they've been trying to get approved, but the FDA wouldn't. So now we done scared the whole world and we done shut you up in your houses. You're tired of being in your houses, right? Take the technology.
Right. I know an individual that said that they weren't going to get it, had no plans on getting it, almost essentially were refusing to get it. But then they said, if you want to travel.
Come on now.
Everybody has what they call a price.
Right.
And some of the major movies we've ever watched, they always say somebody has a price.
Right.
The price for this individual was I love traveling. So in order for me to continue to travel, I'm going to get it. It wasn't going to concerts. It wasn't, being able to go to packed out stadiums to watch sporting events. For this individual, it was traveling. That's what did it for them. And for others, unfortunately, it's going to be smaller things.
Right.
I want to be able to go to a concert.
Right.
I want to be able to go to the club.
Right.
I mean, we know people have been doing that anyway, but having said that, everybody has
a price. And it's so crazy because what the media is doing now, which is something that I talked about in a show earlier, is that they are convincing people to shun people. They want this cocktail in as many people as they possibly can, and they are convincing people to shun people who have an issue with the cocktail, as if something is wrong with me because I got what's in your peach cobbler, man. I'm allergic to real butter. I'm allergic to nutmeg. I'm allergic to cinnamon. These are the main ingredients that make a great peach cobbler.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I need a vegan peach cobbler, right?
That's what it sounds like.
But ain't nobody creating a vegan peach cobbler. So therefore, as much as I want your peach cobbler, I'm not going to get it because I don't know what's in it. And you are telling folks to shame me because I got an issue with your cocktail.
Aside from that, you have individuals that we know who can't get it. Their body will not accept it. It'll reject it. They already know that. Any cocktail they've ever tried to get, their body rejects it, and it makes them extremely sick to the point where they don't know from day to day what's going to happen with their body. It has all kinds of effects on their body. Some not so bad, others ridiculous effects on their body. I've witnessed the effects on their body.
So with that being said, and this might be where you finna go with this, how can you make a one-size-fit-all cocktail?
That's not where I was going, but that's true. That's true. That's why I said it's interesting to me that you have these 3 different companies that have this cocktail. All 3 of them don't have the same ingredients, but the problem is they won't publicize it. They won't publish what those ingredients
Neither can you talk about
it. They make companies, restaurants now post the ingredients that they have and stuff, correct? Because you had somebody somewhere that said, I need to be able to know what I'm putting into my body, food-wise. And I agree with that because people have allergies. They don't necessarily know what you're putting in your salad. Like a lot of people don't know that Caesar salad, the dressing, has anchovies in it. And if you're allergic,
did not know that. And I love Caesar salad.
Anchovies, it might be a problem. You may not even realize why you're allergic to the Caesar dressing. It's because of the anchovies. But having said that, for those individuals who feel like they need to shame and shun people for not getting the vaccine, the cocktail, the problem is you don't know behind closed doors the reason the person is choosing not to get it. Some of it is they don't believe in it. Some of it is religious reasons. Some of it is they simply can't. To me, it's borderline racism.
That's exactly what it is. That's
I'm going to
exactly what
shun
it
you
is.
because of what you look like.
Right.
Because I know companies that are now talking about people who don't get the cocktail, everybody else who's gotten it, and they're taking surveys, they're getting information from these individuals to find out when they got the cocktail, which one they got.
Why they need to know which one they got?
I'll get into that in a second. but they're asking which one that they received, when they received it, if they don't want to get it because they don't know, they don't have enough information on it, or if they don't plan on getting it at all. What they're saying is eventually those individuals who have not gotten it may be thinking about it. Maybe this will force them to go ahead and get it. But the ones who haven't gotten it, don't plan on getting it at all, you got to continue to wear your face mask.
Is that crazy?
It makes absolutely no sense to me because now what you're doing, I go back to
Scarlet Letter.
Your vaccine shaming or your cocktail shaming.
Right.
Because I don't want to get this thing for whatever reason. I can't get it. You don't know my reason.
So I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb. Everybody going to know.
Everybody knows. Oh, there goes the person that doesn't have a cocktail.
But you have the cocktail, right? What was your purpose? If you're going to be so afraid of the individual that don't get the cocktail, why did you go get the cocktail? Right? You went and got the cocktail because you believed that the cocktail was going to protect you from the boogeyman.
Right.
So you protected, right? If it's raining outside, it's raining. I've done this before, right? Jokingly, I know people so sensitive. We're about to leave. We know that it's about to rain. I will bring me something to protect me from the rain, but you try to look cute and you walk out without it. Now it's raining. You want my protection. You see what I'm saying?
You didn't prepare for this.
You did not prepare for it. I did. And so in my mind, I'm like, look, I got mine. You know what I'm saying? So if you got the cocktail, why you worried about those who don't want the cocktail? It's not getting the cocktail. You did what you thought which was best for you. This goes to show you that whatever is in that cocktail is not for the benefit of the people. I'm sorry.
It can't be, if, especially now when you're saying that not the majority, but a good portion of the people that have gotten it. I know enough individuals that have gotten it. Probably one of the few people that I know outside of this household that have not gotten it, and they still will double mask, 6 foot social distancing.
Come on now.
Want to make sure that you stay over there and I stay over here.
But you got the cocktail.
But you got it. Shouldn't you be good to go? Shouldn't you be okay? How am I a threat to you?
Not talking about another topic that we're going to bring up in the show, in shows later, the breakthrough cases where there are thousands of people who have received the cocktail but yet have positive tests.
Yep.
It makes no sense. But
the excuse you'll hear though is that they were positive when they got it. That's why they ended up positive. They were already positive when they got the cocktail. They were already
positive when they got the cocktail.
Okay.
But it's interesting to me, though. It was so interesting to me, these numbers. And I don't want to lose sight of why we came on with the show, is that the government thought that it was necessary to spend all of this money for this cocktail to give it away to the people for free. When you listen to the media and you listen to the government, especially our president, Joey B., right? That's what he said he liked to be called. Joey B., we're almost there. We're almost at the end.
Like the leader of a boy band.
And this is the problem that they're having right now, right? And this is why they are now moving to the youths 12 to 17 years old, right? This is probably, they're moving to the youth to 12 to 17 because they have exhausted all of the people who wanted the cocktail. Okay? They have exhausted that list. All of the ones who was waiting on it, they have gotten it. So now you're dealing with people who don't want it for whatever reason or whatever. You see what I'm saying? And so now what's happening is, look, if I come to you, you were a manufacturer that made my brand of lotion. So let's say that I was I sold lotion, right? And my lotion was in Walmarts and in Targets and in Walgreens, but it got my name on it. I didn't make it. You made it, right? And I come to you every month or every year or whatever, and I buy so many bottles of your formula that you created for me, and I distribute them, right? And they stop selling, I got a problem.
Right.
I done lost money. So now the government is losing money because they done ordered up all of this cocktail and they done exhausted everybody that wanted it. And now they dealing with the other people, and now they got cocktails sitting up that's spoiling. So now what we got to do is we got to convince the people that the 12 through the 17-year-old need it now. When there is no evidence that showed that there was ever a reason for them, because from the very beginning of all of this, who was being affected by it the most?
The elderly and people with severely
underlying health
conditions.
This is my theory. Tell me what you think about this. Before the next school year, I believe that the FDA is going to approve these cocktails. One of the three, if not all three of them. They're going to approve it. And once it's approved, not only is it going to be, once it's approved, that's when they're going to mandate that you have to have it.
Of course.
Because the only reason it's not mandated now is because it's not FDA. You cannot mandate something that's not FDA approved.
So I know in 1977, I believe, is when our country started making cocktails mandatory in schools, and there's a certain amount that they had to have, certain ones that they had to have by a certain age. That wasn't always the case. There was a huge uproar back in the 70s when the government was trying to bring this forward. You had individuals who said education is more important than these vaccines. But what they did is FDA approved them, so they went back and said, in order for your child to get an education, they have to have these vaccines.
And on the flip of that, to show you the power of the government, if your kid don't be in school a certain number of days, that's considered what, truancy, right?
I was getting there.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's fine. That was pretty much it. But I thought it was interesting that you already know your children have to be in school. Now, obviously, the truancy rules have changed over the course of the years, depending on what age they're in, what reason they're out of school, the number of days that they could be absent before it's considered truancy. I think people used to be able to miss like up to 10, 12 days before it was considered truancy. Now I want to say it's like 4, because that also is a moneymaker. Your children have to be present in school in public schools
for that school,
in order for that school
to get paid
funds.
Exactly, for their kid.
Money. Exactly.
Right. So once again, we're looking at a system whose objective is to get its citizens sick, which is not something that's strange, because when you look at, and I'm digressing here a little bit, but it's still talking about the same thing. You look at the chemtrailing, you look at what they done did to the foods, you look at what they have done to the water system, right? So now we're here. All of these things, I guess, weren't working fast enough. I truly believe, and I hope that I'm wrong, but I don't believe that I'm wrong. I truly believe within the next 6 to 9 months or to a year, we're going to start seeing a lot of our people dying and getting very, very sick because of the cocktail.
I'd venture to say probably more sick than dying. While we've had a significant number of, well, let me back up. I won't say we've had a significant number of people die. We've had people die from, once they got the cocktail, and obviously even people who they say have died from the hangover to begin with. But having said that, I think it's more benefit. What does it benefit to have the people die? There's not a lot of return on your investment if you do that.
I think, and this is one of those where we kind of slightly disagree. I think the return on the investment is death, and it's just me, right? Because that number, although that is an unrealistic number that is on the Georgia Guidestones, keep the world population under 500 million.
You're talking about population control.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's a little bit different, because when I'm talking about return on your investment, I'm talking about people that it's the gift that keeps on giving. If I'm sick, what do I have to do? I got to get some other type of cocktail. I got to get some other type of pharmaceuticals.
Well, and I guess in a way that you are correct too, because Moderna is it Pfizer? They're already working on a booster, and the money that Pfizer didn't make that they expected to make in 2021, they are expecting to make that on the booster.
Correct.
This is why they keep talking about you got all of these different variants that's out here. Some of us have pretty stout immune systems.
Correct.
Very stout immune systems, right? And because of our stout immune system, and this is why the cocktail, and not only the cocktail, but the hangover itself is doing so many other people dirty, is because their immune systems are already shot. They already have weak immune systems. So think about this. If you already have a weak immune system and you put this technology in you, what is that going to do to your body as a whole? It's going to put it in a septic shock pretty much, man. Right? Back to what we was talking about. How can you make a one cocktail fit all individuals? Because science, and I'm going to go off of what they believe in, science has already proven that people that have underlying health conditions shouldn't take vaccines to begin with. That's what science say. So how are you differentiating between who, if you are asking everybody to get the vaccine, the cocktail, if you asking everybody to get the cocktail, how are you differentiating between who have underlying health conditions and who don't?
Correct. Correct.
It's like playing, what's the name of that game?
Roulette.
There you go.
Russian roulette. So obviously, we've already talked about that. There has to be some type of return on investment. When there's a return on your investment, it's just like when you establish a company. You may start off in a small little room. You may start off in your garage. We know a lot of companies that have started off in people's garages and people's basements, and we even know big churches that have started off in people's garages. But when you plan for bigger and better things, when you have a bigger vision in front of you, what do? You expand your operation, right? With that said, Moderna is in plans because they're based in Norwood, Massachusetts. They started out with a production lab in order to produce industrial technology, right? They plan on expanding their facility from a 300,000 square foot to roughly 650,000 square feet through the acquisition of another building located on their same
You know who
campus.
funded this, right?
No.
Bill Gates.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
The expansion will boost their cocktail production capacity at the facility by 50%. The increased output is expected to come into play late this year and early 2022. They announced last week, because this came out May 4th, this information came out May 4th, they announced last week that it now expects to produce 80 million to 1 billion doses of the cocktail, with plans to grow production to 3 billion doses by 2022.
So they are really trying to put the cocktail in everybody in the world. And this is why I say their return on investment is death. Not to disagree with what you're saying, but especially in America, everybody already sick. Well, our economy, I bet you that the biggest part of our economy, America's economy, the government's economy, is generated off of sickness. We are only one of two countries that have pharmaceutical advertisements on TV. America and New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
What I bet you, and this is something else we're going to talk about in shows coming up. I bet you a lot of people don't even know that a majority, I'm not going to say the majority, I don't want to exaggerate, that a lot of those pharmaceuticals that are on these commercials that we see on TV, they are not even FDA approved.
Yeah, a lot of them tell you they're based on clinical
trials.
Clinical trial.
Which is the same way that this one is, which is you take it and we're going to see what kind of reaction we'll get.
See if it works.
And if it don't work, we'll just pull it off. You see what I'm saying?
We'll throw something at the wall.
Right.
And see what sticks.
Right. So we've been used as guinea pigs for the longest, right?
Right.
Go ahead. I see a light came on.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the things that our family talks about all the time is when you listen to those commercials and listen to those advertisements, it's a return on investment, because what do those advertisements tell you? It'll correct this thing, but you may have this, this, or that. And what happens? I know people who have taken medication for this one thing, but they got 6 other medications because it has to cancel out the other things, the effects of those other medications,
because, and this is why I say the ROI is death, is because they talking global warming, right? Too many people. You see what I'm saying?
We've already heard our dear friend Bill Gates talk about if the population was reduced by X number,
and we can do that with cocktails. That's what he said. We can genuinely reduce that with cocktails. He said that. You see what I'm saying? We're getting in that stage where they are now what they call the great culling. They are cutting people off.
I'm gonna slip something in here, and I know this will probably come up later in some future shows that I won't be involved in, but I'd like to throw this in there. I don't know how many people recognize how much land the the Gates
What?
Foundation is purchasing that. And
This is going
it's not in one sector of the country. It is in various different states. They have stuff in Ohio, Iowa, Louisiana. They're not buying up 1 or 2 acres. They're buying up.
Hasn't he just became on pace as being the world's largest acreage owner or something like that?
Something along those lines. But that himself, he and what was his wife at the time were buying up, and I think that's a political move, but that's another story, are buying up so much, not just buying acres, because you can go buy an acre out here anywhere. They're buying up farmland.
Right.
You know what's happening to our farmers in this country right now? They're having a hard time producing the things that they need to produce for various different reasons.
Real foods.
Right. And I won't get into all that because we know the foods, the
we only got about 10 minutes. I did not even expect our show to go an hour. Come on, let's go.
We know that medicines, true medicines, for whatever you have, are in the foods that we consume. The quality foods that we consume, the greens that we put into our body. If this individual is buying up all the farmlands, and our farmers in this country are already struggling to produce, what reason is he buying up all the farmland? I went and did some looks on an article that I read. I went and read the comments. You know, I'm big on reading people's comments. I like to see where people's heads are. There are a lot of people who think like we think. There can't be a good reason for him buying up all the farmland. This is a computer guy. Smart as he may be, he's a computer guy. What does he know about farmland that everybody else doesn't know? What is his main goal? What is his purpose? What is he trying to...
Are you asking me or
no,
you
I'm just saying in general,
right.
What is he trying to accomplish? That's something that people need to be thinking about. And a lot of the people who were posting, and I'd say it was probably 50-50. There are people who say he's looking at doing better technology so that we can create foods faster to get out there to the people and so that the poor in our country... When have we ever supported the poor in this country in mass numbers to the point that we don't have poor people in this country anymore?
This is the reason why I say that the ROI is dead. They are for real killing people, man. This is what we're seeing. And you know for a fact that I was at one point saying that all of them people was not dying from the hangover. Remember I was saying that?
Agree. You're not different on that.
And I firmly believe now, my stance on that has changed. I believe that 500,000 people
have probably died. Although we do know there is some exaggeration to those. That's part of the scare tactic because we know people who have said, I know an individual, my personal loved one, did not die from this. They didn't even go in for this, but yet all of a sudden on their certificate or what the
yeah, most definitely. Because, and this is something that's going to come up in the show as well, the workings of death certificates. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
How we put so much trust in these people that whatever they say, this has to be what it is. You see what I'm saying? Because in our reality, no one has died from the hangover. Period. Okay? But it's how they write it up. And if that's what's on paper, that's what they died from.
Right.
Go ahead. But I do believe 500,000 people have died. I'm going to put it that way. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Agree. But back on the technology that I was talking about in terms of the Gates and the Gates Foundation or whatever. In this country, you and I have talked about how we have homeless people. We have people that have all kinds of diseases, but we have people who will go outside of this country to help other countries. Who still doesn't have clean water?
They say that they do now, but I don't believe it. Flint.
Let me ask you this. If
God Almighty. Yeah, go ahead.
If when their water was first reported that it was unclean, it was unfit for human consumption, and they were taking water bottles and had to bring water from outside of the city to those individuals because the water was so unfit to drink, that was all over the news. If that was all over the news and they finally fixed it, where were the reports?
Come on now.
Where were the announcements?
It would have been, I'm with you. Exactly.
You haven't heard.
If you was to go Google it right now, they would tell you in Google or a news article that the water is now big. But I don't believe it.
So they quietly fixed the
problem. You see what I'm saying? When you got this same guy that you talking about, Bill Gates, the tech guy, right? He is known for going to third world countries and cleaning up their water sources for them, which he say.
Supposedly. That was
But
my
you
point.
got all of these third world countries, and you can go Google this for yourself, people. These places that Bill and Melinda Gates have went to, a lot of these places are suing them because when they came, they people was pretty much fine. But when they left, guess what happened? They started dying.
Goes back to it's a political move.
You see what I'm saying? They start dying, right? So to sum this up, we got 5 minutes left. We looking at the biggest dope game ever right now. That's what we looking at.
Yes, indeed.
What we looking at is what we see every day that happens in what they call quote unquote urban suburban cities, but we looking at it on a much larger scale.
Right.
You have the kingpin, which is the supplier, which is your 3 major ones, Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson. You have your customer, which is America, to say, hey, this is the product that we want, this is how much we want, and this is what we gonna pay for it.
It's not just us, by the way.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to really touch it the way I wanted to touch it at all, as a matter of fact. But you do know that they're charging different prices for the cocktail.
To other nations.
I think per cocktail, just one unit of the cocktail is like $2.15, $2.13.
I thought they just said $2.38, but you could be right though. Yeah.
Whatever the amount is, for the U.S.
Right.
But you have countries like South Africa that are paying $5.15.
Exactly.
For the cocktail.
Exactly. And who they paying that to? Are they paying that to the supplier, to the companies, or are they buying that from America? Because I know sometimes
they're not buying it from America.
They're not buying it from America.
But what these other countries are frustrated about is that the cocktails aren't going out the way that they were initially told that they were going to go out. They were going to go out equally.
Right.
Equally dispersed.
How can they go out equally when these other countries don't have the money that America have?
It's free though, remember?
It's free to the people. This is the whole, you see what I'm saying? Back to the biggest dope game.
Go ahead. Government, because we like to play Big Brother, we like to go in and play, excuse my language, Captain Save-A-Ho. We like to save everybody. If you're going to save everybody and do it fairly. But that's not what they're doing.
Right.
They're charging different prices to these governments.
Right.
And that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother show when you talk about.
I'll bring you back on that.
Okay, when you talk about the cost
right.
of this cocktail and what it's costing these countries, including America, to have to administer the cocktail.
Right. Because the supplier sets its prices, okay?
Correct.
And this is the thing too. Whatever it is that America paid for, we got 3 minutes. We might go over a little bit because I want to sum it up, but not much. Because whatever America paid for it, there still has to be a up in order to make your profit, right? And we talked about ROI, right? What we think that it may be, which they're not concerned about. This is another reason why they throwing so much money away too. That's a whole nother topic too, man. I'm telling you, man, eyes wide open.
The rabbit hole.
You see what I'm saying? Which is another reason why they give it away so much money, right?
Alice in Wonderland has got nothing on this
right.
Hole.
So, you got the supply, you got your Moderna, you got your Pfizer, you got your Johnson & Johnson. You have your distributor, which is America, and you have your clients, aka crackheads, right? Which is the people. But the difference is now that the clients, the aka crackheads, we go to the trap house, you don't have to have 5, you don't have to have 10 in order to get your hit. They're giving your hit to you for free. And they're begging you to get your hit. I walked into Walmart the other day. You got a man sitting down a hallway. I done been in this Walmart 100 times, I know. I never in my life seen this hallway. You got one man sitting at a card table in a hallway by himself. Guess what he doing? Giving away the cocktail for free.
In Walmart?
In Walmart. You got a sign when you walk in Walmart, free cocktail. Get your cocktail as you walk in the door. It's right there.
Wow.
Krispy Kreme. You get a free donut every day for a year. Get the cocktail.
Special crackhead to want just one donut.
Food supplies. Joe Biden said we are encouraging grocery stores to give free groceries if people get the cocktail. You see what I'm saying? So the crackheads, right? And it ain't nothing new for the drug man to give away a hit. off the top, right? Because he want to get you hooked. You see what I'm saying? To make you a returning customer.
Return on your investment.
The return on your investment. There's nothing strange with that. Now the trap houses are not just CVS, are not just Walgreens, are not just Walmart. Your trap houses are everywhere. Your trap houses are Walmart. What we was talking about. Your trap houses are gaming events. They giving away vaccines at gaming events now. Cocktails.
What's interesting is one of the things that I told you we didn't really get a chance to talk about, but that's one of the issues right now is while they're pushing this cocktail and need it to go out everywhere, there are not enough medical personnel and infrastructure to be able to do it. Hence the reason you can have a Walmart with a man sitting down a hallway at a table.
Because they are even encouraging dentists now, right? They are encouraging dentists, go get your teeth clean. Hey, you a dentist, get offer the cocktail as well.
Right.
So what I want the people to look at, and maybe you can verbalize this better than I can, because we're about to wrap this up. What I want the people to look at and understand, why is it? This is a simple question. Why do they want this cocktail in you so bad to the point that they would go and ask and demand for so much of it just to turn around and give it to you free? Closing remark.
In the history of our country, and I think I mentioned this before, in the history of our country, I cannot find anywhere where this country has cared so much about its people that it was willing to give away something that cost so much for free. You've never known them to just give things away to this country. Not only that, and this is probably taking it to a different level, not only that, there are what they call the disproportionate people that they are pushing the cocktail to more than anybody else. In fact, they wanted those individuals to be at the front of the line to get it. When has this country ever cared that much about its people, especially those disproportionate folks, that they wanted them to get it for free? Ask yourself, why?
I'm going to give you some homework, and if you find this information, I'm bringing you back ASAP. I wonder if you could find out by zip codes, what zip codes receive which cocktail. Like, for instance, I know a couple of zip codes in Dallas, right? Because that's where I'm from. 75212, are they receiving all Moderna? And then you got 75227, they might be receiving this. You see what I'm saying?
I think that'd be a pretty hard task, because just because you live in that zip code does not mean that's where you got your cocktail. Uh-huh. You could have gone way over here to get the cocktail. This is true. But
and this is true. You could do that, and especially the way that they're giving it away, right? But that might be a difficult task to find, or darn near impossible. But it's still, though, if you put this cocktail in this demographic, though, right? Because, like you say, there's different ingredients in each cocktail, right? And I believe that each cocktail is going to do differently towards people. And I also believe that there are certain zip codes, and this is just my theory, nothing can back this up. I do believe that there are certain zip codes that's not getting either one of them. I believe that certain zip codes probably just getting placebos. Because when you look at who is being pushed to take this, Shal, back to what you were saying a while ago, it's the most disproportionate people. Look at all of the media. Look at who they asking to get it. Look at you when you go to them other people neighborhoods, you don't see these type of signs up.
Well, by state, I'm not going to do it today. I'll have you invite me back. That'll be my little teaser for you, incentive for you to invite me back. But by state, by the next time we meet, I can definitely tell you which percentages of certain races of people have actually supposedly gotten the cocktail.
There you have it. There you have it. This is Banath, Shal, Ahayah. She sat in the booth with me. Shir Yeshub, Judah. We will be back tomorrow with a show with the guys, and it's going to be a great show as well. I enjoyed this, lady. I appreciate it, man.
Well, thank you for having me. I will say it was fun. It was better than I thought it was going to be, because sometimes you and I can get into some heated conversations. It went a lot better than I thought.
True we can. And with that being said, we went over a few minutes, but it's all good. That just meant that we had great conversation. This is Shir Yeshub Judah with our host, Banath, Shal, Ahayah. We're going to take you out with the ending of the theme song. And I'll see you tomorrow. Where is it at?